Have you ever wondered if fear is actually the unseen architect of your daily choices? What if your biggest obstacles are masterfully disguised as caution, hesitation, or the urge to blend in? This video reveals the ancient Stoic secrets to breaking fear's hidden grip, reshaping your response to life's uncertainties, and unlocking a life ruled by courage, not anxiety. Experience the transformation step by step and prepare to discover strength where you least expect it. Stop letting fear control your life. Stoic Courage Method, compiled and published by Stoic Dominion. Lesson 1. Recognizing fear's hidden grip. Imagine walking through a mist-shrouded forest at dawn, cool air clinging to your skin, every step forward shaped by shadows you cannot see. The path beneath your feet is real, but your gaze lingers on the darkness between trees, heart beating to the rhythm of unspoken threats. This is the feeling of fear's silent presence. The ever-present current beneath the surface of daily life, directing your actions in subtle ways, guiding choices you might never question. Choices cloaked in the illusion of safety. Many of us walk through our days much like that wanderer in the woods, daily existence governed more by what prowls in the undergrowth of our minds than by the open road ahead. We hesitate to start conversations, avoid pursuing opportunities, stay within invisible boundaries, and call it wisdom or caution, never realizing that fear stands quietly at every crossroad, whispering warnings that shape our every move. Sometimes you might sense these hidden shackles, a quickened heartbeat before a meeting, a reluctance to speak your mind, that restless doubt gnawing at your plans, keeping you camouflaged, ordinary, untouched by the risk of failure or exposure. This is the quiet tyranny of fear. It does not announce itself with thunderous roars, but rather with a soft, continuous hum, a background tune of second-guessing that dulls the spirit and saps our resolve. When the world watches, you may disguise it as modesty or carefulness, while inside you feel the simmering conflict. You know in your heart that the difference between living and surviving is not simply in what happens to you, but in how you master the hidden rivers of emotion that rush beneath the surface. Yet breaking free is easier dreamt than done. How many ambitions have you left adrift, abandoned to storms of doubt? How many relationships have been suffocated by the silence of words unspoken? The fear of vulnerability, masquerading as prudence. Behind every opportunity hesitated over and every day spent in the safety of routine lives, the secret rule of fear. But what if there is a way to see that unseen hand for what it is? The Stoics, in their disciplined search for strength, practiced a method as old as the dawn. First, they looked reality in the face. Only from this clear-eyed honesty could they change its hold on their thoughts. The secret is astonishingly simple, yet deeply powerful. It begins with recognizing the grip fear holds, learning to distinguish between true danger and the imagined specter that shadows your every decision. Just as an archer cannot hit a hidden target, you cannot reclaim control over your spirit until you see where the arrows of anxiety are truly aimed. Your first act of transformation is this piercing awareness, sensing how fear's influence flows gently through your routines, shaping not just what you avoid, but who you become. Consider the ancient image of an undisturbed lake. Its surface a perfect mirror, but any stray wind sends ripples cascading outward. If you never acknowledge the wind, you cannot trace the ripples to their point of disturbance. In your own life, attention is that act of acknowledgement. Each moment of hesitation, every inner negotiation, is a clue. When you recognize these ripples as the movement of fear, rather than of fate or external destiny, you break its spell of invisibility. You begin to train your mind to quiet observation, not in judgment or self-criticism, but with compassionate clarity. This is not about condemning your fears or shaming yourself for their existence, but about seeing them in the gentle light of awareness, which is itself an act of unbreakable courage. To embark on this path is to choose the silent discipline of the Stoic warrior, a presence that produces an inner warmth, a fire that burns quietly rather than flaring chaotically with each gust of emotion. As you sharpen this ability to observe, the world's contradictions and your own uncertainties no longer jerk you from place to place, nor do they steal your thunder. Mastery of emotion does not mean suppression, but illumination, shedding steady light on what dwells in shadow so you may choose with full consciousness. Over time, you awaken to a subtle freedom, finding within yourself the beginnings of a new power, the quiet resilience that marks those who are truly undefeatable. When fear's grip is recognized with sincerity, it loses much of its force, and suddenly new avenues of living and acting become visible. This awakening, the art of seeing, is the threshold over which all growth occurs. Imagine for a moment a captain steering a ship across midnight waters, his fingers sensitive to even the faintest change in wind or current. Such mastery begins not in commanding the elements, but in perceiving them as they really are. In the same way, your effectiveness, your ability to unlock and attract what matters most, begins with this clear confrontation with your own mind. By learning to see where fear tiptoes behind your thoughts, you prepare the ground for true change and lay the essential foundation for every victory to come. The journey from silent suffering to silent stoic begins here, with recognition, a single, stunning moment of self-aware clarity. Begin this transformation by pausing each time you sense discomfort or hesitation, naming what you feel, and asking yourself whether it's rooted in real threat or the echo of fear. Notice your choices, say them out loud, and document your experiences in a journal each day. This creates a foundation of awareness that steadily weakens fear's silent hold. Through this practice, you'll find the freedom to speak up, take action, and trust your decisions. Embrace this gentle discipline. Every small observation is a step toward unstoppable emotional mastery. Your next lesson will guide you to uncover the root causes beneath your dread, making courage natural. Share your thoughts below, interact with the Stoic Dominion community, and remember to like and subscribe for more steps on your journey. Lesson 2. Understanding the root of dread. Picture the roots of an ancient tree burrowed deep beneath the surface, their silent twists and knots gripping the earth in the hidden darkness. Above, the tree appears tranquil and unmoving, but all of its power and vulnerability come from what remains unseen. Fear operates much the same way within us. What we feel on the surface, hesitation, unease, anxiety, is merely the visible part of much deeper roots embedded in our past, our memories, and the beliefs we've absorbed without question. Just as a shallow wind may ruffle leaves but never uproot a mighty oak, dealing only with surface-level fear leaves the foundation of dread untouched, waiting to find new ways to weaken our resolve. There's a private conflict within the heart of anyone seeking emotional mastery or genuine self-discipline. Wanting to move forward with strength, we instead often find ourselves paralyzed by uncertainty, second-guessing even our smallest steps. An opportunity arrives, a new career, a chance to be vulnerable with a loved one, a door to adventure slightly ajar, and something tugs us back with invisible force. On the outside, life might look as serene as a still pond, but inside, ancient turbulence stirs up silt and shadows. The silent question echoes, why do I always freeze, even when there's nothing to fear? For many, this question is both haunting and perplexing, a barrier to achievement and peace that cannot be dismantled by willpower alone. Consider those moments when logic and encouragement seem powerless, where heartbeats drum in your ears and your feet refuse to move. Why does negative anticipation weigh so heavily? And why do simple challenges feel overwhelming? Everyday life presents countless situations where we shrink away, sharing an opinion in a group, admitting a mistake, starting a healthy habit, or stepping into the unknown. Too often, the pain is not just in the act of avoidance, but in the frustrating mystery behind it. Our explanations for this holding back tend to be superficial. We blame stress, busyness, or bad timing, never daring to peer below the surface where the true roots remain hidden, coiled tight from years of survival instincts and misunderstood experiences. Here lies the transformative pivot. Instead of treating anxiety like an intrusive fog that blows in at random, the Stoic method urges us to become gentle archaeologists of our own mind, unearthing the original causes for our recurring dread. The solution is to approach yourself with both courage and compassion, learning to pause and ask, what am I really afraid will happen? Beneath every strong emotion, every urge to run, to hide, or to fade into the background. There's a story we tell ourselves about danger, failure, isolation, or inadequacy. By examining those stories in a quiet moment, observing them like an experienced sailor reading the stars, you begin to loosen their grip. This approach is neither harsh nor sudden. You are not yanking roots from the earth, but softly brushing away soil, examining each twist of the past with curiosity rather than judgment. The core idea is to sit with discomfort long enough to hear what your fear is actually saying. Often you will find that what holds you back is not a threat of harm, but the echo of childhood warnings, past disappointment, or the belief that making mistakes means losing your worth. These core beliefs, the true roots of your dread, are not insurmountable barriers, but relics waiting to be seen and questioned. When you train your mind to seek the story beneath the shiver, you reclaim control over your emotional life. The ancient Stoic knew that courage does not grow from mere denial, but from a patient willingness to see both the storms and the clear skies, to acknowledge over and over what truly resides at the heart of your fears. Adopting this mindset opens a new horizon in personal growth. Suddenly, each moment of anxiety becomes an opportunity, the beginning of mastery rather than a setback. When you understand what lies deep within, dread shrinks from an all-powerful force to a guidepost revealing where you most need to grow and heal. Imagine the inner tranquility of the silent Stoic whose foundation is steady, not because life is easy, but because every root, every hidden knot is known and accepted. With this wisdom, everything changes. The world no longer feels full of unpredictable threats. Instead, you become your own anchor, an undefeated spirit charting its course through even the most silent and shifting seas. Pause daily and ask yourself, what am I truly afraid will happen? Write your insights, reflect with compassion, and gently challenge any old beliefs you find. As you expose hidden roots, fears lose their strength, giving you a calm center from which to act. In our next lesson, we'll reframe threats with inner logic. Like, comment, and stay engaged with us. Lesson 3. Reframing threats with inner logic. Picture yourself standing before a great mountain at sunrise. Its shadow falls across you like a daunting challenge, edges sharp and sheer, seeming to reach impossibly high into the glowing sky. Each stone face and jagged outcrop represents uncertainty and the possibility of loss or hardship. Yet in that dawn hush, a closer look often reveals pathways etched by those who walked before you. The mountain that terrifies at first glance, when examined with clear eyes, becomes a landscape filled with footholds and secret ledges. This is the ancient art of seeing rightly, of transforming an imagined threat into a surmountable step through the lens of logic and honesty with oneself. Inside, many feel a quieter tension, a daily conflict between impulsive fear and the desire to move forward with poise. Perhaps you've experienced this when considering a new opportunity, approaching a difficult conversation, or standing alone with your beliefs when others do not agree. The inner dialogue often teeters between wanting to appear capable and right and fearing the pain of failure or embarrassment. It isn't just dragons that keep us awake at night. It's our own minds, running wild with stories of disaster, rejection, or humiliation long before any such thing threatens to appear. This emotional turbulence, the churn of alarm and self-doubt, leads us to retreat when the world calls us to advance, or to freeze when challenge demands movement. Now think of the countless moments in life where swiftly rising anxiety eclipses careful reasoning, when the prospect of public speaking feels like facing a firing squad, or a small mistake sparks a storm of self-reproach and panic. People often allow these automatic reactions to go unchallenged, granting them the authority of an unchallenged ruler. Fear is rarely logical. It's more like a trick played by the mind, projecting old movie reels over present reality. The real pain resides not only in the anticipation, but in how quickly our own thoughts convince us that disaster is the only outcome. With every unchecked spiral, we distance ourselves further from the resilient, calm core that is capable of handling far more than the mind pretends. At the heart of the Stoic method is a much gentler but immensely potent skill, reframing what seems like a threat by calmly inviting logic and truth into the conversation. This does not mean shutting emotions out. It means bringing them into the daylight, asking them to justify their urgency. When fear looms on the horizon, it is natural to let instinct dictate your response. However, the wise archer, before releasing the arrow, steadies his breath and sizes up the breeze, recalibrating according to reason rather than impulse. To reframe a threat is to ask honestly, is this truly dangerous or simply uncomfortable? What is the real worst-case scenario? What ability or resource have I forgotten within myself? This self-inquiry unlocks clarity, moving you beyond the fog of panic to a balanced position from which you can clearly choose your action, not just react. By cultivating this habit of pausing before reacting, replacing the immediate surge of fear with considered reasoning, you create space between experience and response. The benefits are numerous and lasting. Where you may once have retreated from new challenges, you now approach them with measured enthusiasm. Life's disappointments lose their sting because you see them in proportion, learning from experience rather than being defined by it. Emotional control grows each time logic untangles the knots of irrational dread, and with it grows your power to attract obstacles as opportunities. The transformation is not only in how you handle setbacks, but in the steady, silent fire of self-trust that comes from seeing things as they truly are, instead of how fear paints them. Adopting this perspective grants you inner peace, similar to a ship's captain who trusts his compass and the quiet intelligence of the stars. He welcomes the changing tides, not as inevitabilities that must be feared, but as facts to be worked with wisely. Each time you use reason to reframe a threat, you strengthen your foundation, becoming undefeated not because trial never arrives, but because you train your mind to respond not with fragmenting panic, but with focused, disciplined clarity. This is the stillness and heat of the silent Stoic. Powerful, not in the absence of fear, but in the certainty of calm evaluation and logical mastery. When anxiety arises, pause and question the threat. Test each worry against reality and answer with reason, not fear. Practicing this daily inspires courage and builds steady confidence, replacing dread with clarity. Start now. Apply inner logic in your next stressful moment. In our next lesson, discover powerful techniques for present moment grounding. Engage, share, and stay with us. Lesson 4. Practicing present moment grounding. Imagine a wild river, swollen with rain, its current fiery and restless as it races toward an unseen horizon. Now envision a single, ancient stone rooted at the center. No matter how fiercely the water churns or how loud the crash against its sides, that stone bears the storm with silent, immovable strength. There is a profound lesson in this image that cuts to the heart of both Stoic resilience and emotional mastery. Even when emotions swirl and the torrent of anxiety feels relentless, you possess within you the power to anchor yourself to what is steady, to the solid ground of the present moment. Like that stone, you can become the still point amid the world's chaos. So often, our greatest internal battles begin when we are swept away by thoughts of the past or projections into an uncertain future. A chance remark, a challenging task, or a looming responsibility can set off a surge of fear or overwhelm that quickly spins beyond our control. Suddenly, you may catch yourself spiraling, caught between what you regret and what you dread, forgetting that true power is always found in the now. The pain of living ungrounded is deeply familiar to anyone struggling to master emotion. You might wake up already dreading what's ahead, or find yourself brooding on things long finished, wearing invisible chains that keep you hostage to what you cannot touch or change. Each time this happens, self-doubt grows louder, decisions become muddled, and courage seems just out of reach. This mental tug-of-war is exhausting, not only stripping away our confidence, but also closing us off from the simple joys and opportunities that hide in plain sight. You may notice moments when life feels gray, or when each day runs together like an endless fog, because your mind is always off balance, moving anywhere but here. Relationships suffer when you're preoccupied. Potential is stifled when action is delayed by the tangled worries about what might be. Even when things are objectively manageable, Our fear of failing at them, or imagining 100 ways they might go wrong, spins us out of control. The problem did not grow in a day, but each day spent ungrounded deepens its roots, until even moments of peace feel temporary and fleeting. The transformative step is to consciously practice present moment grounding, an ancient yet alive practice, beloved by Stoics for its simplicity and profound effect. Instead of fighting your thoughts, you learn to gently return your mind over and over to what you are certain of right now. Your breath rising, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the texture of the object you touch, or the sound of your own steady voice. Like a sailor adjusting his course by checking the stars, you return again and again to the tangible, the definite, the here. You are not running from fear or trying to deaden feelings. You are, for the first time, truly meeting yourself in this instant, undistracted, unburdened. The power of this practice is immediate and deep. Each intentional return to the present weakens the power of imagined catastrophes and gives your mind the chance to reset, recenter, and reclaim sovereignty. Clear thinking returns, perspective is restored, and anxiety transforms into workable energy rather than a runaway storm. You start to feel like that silent stoic stone, an indestructible steadiness that no circumstance can erode. There will be times your mind races forward or backward again. That is only natural. But with each return to the present, you train your mind as an archer returns to aim, refining not just your control, but your sense of calm, purpose, and acceptance. Adopting present moment grounding is not just a technique, but a lifelong shift in attitude. A promise to yourself that you will be awake to life as it is, not as your worries predict. This living anchor, practiced day by day, gives you the clarity to see opportunity in adversity, patience when abraded by chaos, and the kind of deep-rooted trust that sets you apart as quietly undefeatable. This is not a denial of life's challenges, but a courageous encounter with reality in its rawest, most vivid form. An ancient wisdom you now bring alive there in the heart of your own experience. Whenever stress rises, pause and focus on your breath, your senses, or the feel of the world around you. Return gently to the present as often as needed. With this habit, you'll find clarity, energy, and calm returning. Practice this daily. Next, we'll explore how to train your will against panic. Like, comment, and stay engaged. Lesson 5. Training your will against panic. Picture a torch burning steadily in a pitch-black cave, its flame unwavering even as icy drafts sweep through the darkness. This torchlight stands for the strength of will, a focused inner fire that refuses to flicker no matter how violently panic beats at the door. Yet for most, even the bravest souls, maintaining that steady illumination seems an impossible task when panic descends without warning, turning confidence into confusion and resolution into retreat. The dance between inner steadiness and sudden alarm is a battle well known to anyone determined to master their emotions. We live in a world that is adept at generating urgency and unease, a forgotten deadline, an unexpected challenge, a critical gaze from those we hope will accept us. These are the kindling for anxiety's blaze. When panic hits, it can feel as if you're thrown into deep water, swirling and gasping for air while reason and calm slip away like ships disappearing into the fog. The problem grows more complex as the body joins the mind's revolt. Racing heart, shallow breath, trembling hands. Struggling against panic only seems to entrench it further, making every failed attempt at calm a stinging defeat. Inside, a relentless question gnaws. Why can't I stay strong when it matters most? Am I simply too weak for life's bigger storms? Many find their journey toward emotional mastery derailed here. They imagine Stoicism as cold indifference or the eradication of sensitivity, that the only way to conquer fear is to extinguish feeling altogether. But ancient wisdom offers a different story. What the Stoics discovered was not the absence of response, but the forging of a disciplined willpower that endures panic's heat without being consumed by it. Instead of running from the surge of fear, they met it unflinchingly, learning to train will as an archer crafts precision through thousands of steady, patient draws. The transformative solution lies in intentionally building your willpower through small acts of present-moment resilience. When you notice the first sparks of panic, Halt your runaway thoughts and name what you feel. A conscious recognition. This is panic, not the end of control. This simple naming calls the scattered mind to assemble. Next, anchor yourself with deliberate action. Focus on a grounding sensation. Press your feet firmly into the floor. Place your hand on your heart and breathe deeply. Recite a short mantra. Small acts of focus create space between panic's arrival and your next move, immediately blunting the attack. Training your will in this way transforms panic into an opportunity for strength, just as a blacksmith subjects steel to fire to build resilience. Each time you stand steady, if only for a moment longer than before, you send a clear message to your nervous system. I can endure. I will not be swept away. While the outer world storms and buffets, your inner torch glows with a steadier light, inviting respect from others and a deepening pride in yourself. The benefits compound with every repetition. Calm becomes a habit. Persistence crystallizes into confidence. The fear of panic's return lessens every time you stand your ground, even if you tremble. The more often the will is trained in moments of challenge, the more silent, unshakable, and undefeatable it becomes, like that flame refusing to go out, regardless of the wind's force. This practice is ancient, but its results are always strikingly alive. True self-control is not a gift handed down to the lucky, but a muscle built with disciplined repetition. Just as an archer hones his focus millimeter by millimeter until poise is his native state, emotional mastery is born through these quiet confrontations. Hundreds, maybe thousands, in the ordinary moments when you hold fast to presence and choose not to flinch. Each choice unlocks a new reserve of courage, adding another layer to your unbreakable core, forging a self capable of meeting the world and its storms with unwavering resolve. When panic strikes, pause, name your feeling, ground yourself with breath or touch, and hold steady for moments longer than before. Each trial strengthens your will and builds trust in your own strength. Begin practicing today and watch your courage grow. Next, learn how to hold the line under pressure. Like, comment, and stay connected for more. Lesson 6. Holding the line under pressure. Visualize yourself as a lighthouse, rooted on the edge of a stormy sea, battered endlessly by winds and rain. The beams from your tower do not flicker or falter, even as waves crash against the rocks at your base. You are the silent sentinel, shining its light through blinding torrents, sturdy when the world most needs its guidance. This is the image of holding the line under pressure, a state that every person striving to master emotion and build true self-discipline longs to achieve. Yet in moments of intensity, when expectations, criticism, or sudden problems close in with a roar, even the strongest wonder, how do I stand my ground without losing my center? Within, the inner battle is palpable. The heart pounds. Doubt surges up like spray from the sea, and the urge to yield or escape becomes overwhelming. This experience is universal, weaving itself into the fabric of each day, at home, in your career, or even alone with your thoughts. A conflict with a loved one may leave you burning for resolution, but afraid of hurtful words. Pressure at work may spark anxiety. How will your efforts be judged, or what if you fail expectations? Sometimes, you simply have too many demands, and the weight presses down until it feels almost impossible to remain calm or remember your greater purpose. Under stress, many discover they break without knowing when or how, emotions running wild and reason drowned out by a rush of frustration or despair. Here lies a problem many quietly carry. We imagine that the strongest people never feel pressure, or that their inner light burns steady regardless of the storm. In truth, even the most emotionally resilient feel the strain. The difference is how they face it and what they tell themselves when the pressure peaks. Some lose their nerve and snap. Others stand rigid until the tension shatters them inside. Mistakenly, many try either to ignore the weight or to explode in response, convinced that intensity must be purged or denied. Both ways leave scars, and neither leads to true self-mastery. The Stoic solution does not lie in denying emotion or resisting reality, but in training yourself to hold your ground with intentional presence and unwavering self-respect, no matter what assaults the mind or heart. To hold the line is not to be hardened or cold, but to remain connected to your deeper values even as difficulties multiply. Envision the archer who has trained for years, his aim tested in all weather. Surrounded by uproar and distraction, his mind returns each time to form, breath, target. Never perfect, but resolutely faithful to practice. In this way, holding the line means anchoring to the essentials you believe in, remembering your worth and purpose, even as pressure mounts. This approach can be immediately transformative. Instead of giving way to raw emotion or shutting down under distress, you become watchful, reminding yourself that storms are real, but always temporary. The core idea is gentle. When you feel life's pressures rise, affirm internally, I am allowed to feel this. I do not have to fix or flee in this moment. I can wait. I can breathe. My values still stand. With each repetition, the initial force of anxiety, anger, or fear softens. This brave patience grows into emotional command, and the world's influence over you weakens. The concept is as old as philosophy and as modern as your next heartbeat. Mastery is not measured by the absence of pressure, but by the quality of presence you maintain when the tide is fiercest. Consider how these small acts of holding steady impact your life. Decisions are made with clarity, not panic. Relationships deepen as you respond rather than react. The respect you earn from yourself and others grows, and you radiate the quiet confidence of one undefeatable by circumstance. This attitude also serves as a beacon for those around you, inspiring strength in your family, colleagues, or community. Problems begin to look less like threats and more like opportunities to reinforce your character. The silent Stoic power at your core shines brightest when you refuse to collapse, not by lifting burdens alone and unaided, but by rooting yourself in the ground of your own unwavering commitment. Each time the line is held, the mind is trained and the soul is unlocked just a bit more. The art of holding the line under pressure is not grandiosity. It is discipline in its quietest, most powerful form, echoing through every area of your life. When you feel pressure rise, pause and quietly affirm your values, steady your breath, and allow discomfort without fleeing or attacking. The more you practice, the more resilient, respected, and calm you'll become. Try it in your next stressful moment. In our final lesson, we'll make courage a daily habit. Like, comment, and share your journey below. Lesson 7. Choosing courage as daily practice. Imagine the first hint of sunlight breaking above a horizon of endless mountains, soft golden rays slipping between shadowed peaks, signaling not just a new day, but a promise, an invitation to rise and meet whatever lies beyond. Each morning carries within it the silent challenge. Will you choose courage as your companion, or let comfort, hesitation, and well-worn habits chart your course? This is not the courage of heroic battles or grand gestures, but a quieter, deeper force, the willingness to move toward a truer life, one steady breath and bold step at a time. Within every person who seeks mastery of emotion and true self-discipline, there simmers a battle between wanting to be brave and wanting to remain safe. We all face crossroads that are invisible to others, decisions where fear whispers, "Stay here, don't risk the unknown." Perhaps it's reaching out to mend a fractured relationship, or saying yes to a project or passion you have long buried. Maybe it's the everyday resistance to speak your mind honestly, stand up for your values, or push beyond the routines that quietly suffocate growth. The world seldom rewards unremarkable security, yet stepping into the open can feel like exposing a flame to uncertain winds. The heart pounds, and doubt returns in the form of rational excuses. What if I'm not enough? What if I fail? What if I'm judged? This cycle of wanting to grow but shrinking back from courage is deeply familiar for anyone on the path of personal impact and self-regard. In this inner tension, life's richest opportunities are either seized or quietly surrendered. The real pain comes in those moments after hesitation, when the chance has passed and disappointment settles in. A disappointment not in fate or others, but in ourselves for giving in to fear once more. Each retreat leaves an invisible dent. A compromise with comfort that, if repeated daily, becomes a quiet, powerful resignation. This resignation does not shout, it gathers silently day by day, cultivating regret instead of resilience. Here's where Stoic wisdom emerges as a living guide. suggesting that courage is not an extraordinary event, but a daily decision, a muscle to be trained until bravery becomes instinctive. The transformative practice is breathtaking in its humility. Do one thing each day that scares you because it is meaningful, honest, or necessary. Imagine an archer who never waits for the perfect wind, but draws and releases despite uncertainty, letting each shot build both skill and faith in themselves. Each act, no matter how small, is a commitment to your own unfolding. This is the antithesis of waiting for motivation or being ruled by mood. It is a deliberate shift, placing value and intention above temporary discomfort. To choose courage, deliberately and repeatedly, is to ingrain a self-trust so reliable and strong that fear loses its power to imprison. This daily courage does not announce itself to the world. It works quietly, infusing each routine, interaction, and ambition with more energy and clarity. Again, think of a ship's captain, steady at the helm not only during storms, but also through calm, trusting every decision as an opportunity to chart a nobler course. As you anchor your actions in courage, you will notice your sense of possibility expanding. Conversation flows more easily. Creative ideas are expressed without apology, and your willingness to step outside comfort grows daily. Small moments, choosing to apologize when you've been proud, volunteering before you feel ready, setting boundaries when it feels risky, add up. They create a powerful synergy, multiplying your ability to master emotion, wield impact courageously, and become a source of clear, silent strength. Over time, the line between who you aspire to be and who you are blurs. Choosing courage as a practice means unlocking a self that no longer waits for extraordinary confidence, but acts in simple, persistent defiance of fear. With every opportunity taken, you rewire your nervous system, changing the story you tell about your own possibilities. This isn't absence of fear. It's relating to fear as a companion rather than a captor, noticing its presence, honoring its message, but proceeding anyway because something deeper is guiding your steps. This perspective is ancient, weathered by the practice of so many before you, yet alive within every small risk you accept and every new voice you choose to use each day. Every day, do one small thing that makes you uncomfortable but matters to you. Reflect on your progress, celebrate your courage, and commit again tomorrow. As these acts compound, you'll notice more confidence, greater self-respect, and a true sense of possibility awakening within. Let courage become your daily ritual, your quiet, unstoppable force for transformation and growth. You've just explored the timeless power of the Stoic courage method, recognizing hidden fear, understanding its roots, reframing threats, grounding in the present, training your will, holding the line under pressure, and making courage a daily habit. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to support your journey with Stoic Dominion.